Time now for French Connections, our weekly look at the intricacies of life here in France with Florence Villemino. Flo, good to see you. Now, the Louvre Museum has been in the spotlight recently following a spectacular jewelry heist. So today we wanted to take a step back and take a closer look at the museum itself. Some fun facts about the Louvre, if you will, starting with its history, because it wasn't always a museum.
That's right. What is now one of the most visited places on Earth actually started out as a fortress to defend Paris from invaders. So this was back in the 12th century under the reign of King Philippe Auguste. So this fortress became a royal palace in the 16th century, and successive French monarchs transformed it into a Renaissance masterpiece, adding wings and galleries to showcase their wealth and taste. So by the 17th century, the Sun King, Louis XIV, really turned Louvre into the beating heart of royal life until he decided to move the whole court to Versailles, and the Louvre fell quiet. It came back to life again during the French Revolution, actually. In 1793, it reopened as the Musée Central des Arts de la République. So basically, it displayed art that had been confiscated from the church and the nobility. And so the art of the kings became the art of the people, and the Louvre has been expanding ever since.
And the collection itself is quite staggering, isn't it?
It is. The Louvre is really the museum of all superlatives. You know, it is the biggest museum in the world. It spans more than 72,000 square meters. We were talking about how you can get lost in the museum. And it really has a dizzying number of wings and courtyards that hold more than 35,000 works of art. And this is huge, but it's just a drop in the ocean compared to the full collection of the Louvre. Its archive holds some 500,000 pieces. So what's on display? If you spent 30 seconds looking at each piece of art on display, it would take you 100 days to see it all, not counting bathroom breaks. So there are 8 galleries that really cover all of civilization. You have Egyptian mummies, Greek gods, Renaissance geniuses, Islamic art, jewels as well. Some jewels are missing now. Now up to 30,000 people visit the museum each day, about 9 million a year. This makes it the most visited museum in the world. So as much as the museum has to offer, people actually come for a short list of greatest hits, I guess you can say. And it really hasn't changed much over the years.
Et dans le Louvre, j'ai voulu voir quand même la victoire de Samothrace, la Vénus de Milo et la belle Joconde qu'on en parle tant.
Now, Flo, she mentions the Mona Lisa, so you can't really talk about the Louvre without talking about the Mona Lisa, can you?
And it's our word du jour because you do not want to sound like a dork in France. People do not call the Mona Lisa in France. They call it La Joconde, which is a reference to the painting's Italian title, La Gioconda, meaning the joyful one. So Leonardo da Vinci painted La Joconde in 1503, and it was the King Francis I of France that acquired it in 1519. So it's been owned by France for a really long time. It's a surprisingly small painting, barely 77 by 53 centimeters, yet there's something about La Joconde, right? Perhaps it's because she has the most beautiful smile in the world, or her eyes follow you around the room behind her bulletproof glass. Now, fun fact, on top of being the most valuable painting on Earth, she has her own mailbox at the Louvre if ever you want to write her some fan mail. And as you can see, she has a lot of fans. Sometimes you have to queue up for hours just to get a look at her. It's estimated that of the millions of people who visit the Louvre, about 80% of them go just to see the Mona Lisa.
L'ho sempre conosciuta da quando ero piccolissima, quindi questa è la prima volta che la vedo, quindi mi fa piacere.
There's just something about her, just something about the painting that just creates a lot of mystique, and a lot of people want to see her.
Mona Lisa is a star.
Les gens ne les regardent pas, ce sont des œuvres qui pâtissent tout simplement de la proximité de la Joconde. On va voir la Joconde, on ne regarde pas ce qu'il y a autour.
Ça tue tout le reste.
Ça tue tout. C'est la Joconde assassine complètement les autres œuvres du musée.
Those crowds are pretty staggering. And in fact, the Mona Lisa draws such crowds that President Emmanuel Macron has announced plans to actually create a separate gallery with a separate entrance for the Mona Lisa. This is a major refurbishment that could cost hundreds of millions of euros.
Let's talk about money for a minute, because the Louvre does generate a lot of money, but it also costs a lot of money to upkeep.
Well, yeah, and the heating alone, I mean, just see how big it is. Yeah. It costs a lot to heat. So it's expensive to run the Louvre. In 2023, for instance, the total operating costs were reported to be 323 million euros. So this is for personnel, maintenance, security. So how is it funded? Well, there are a mix of things. ticketing, of course, hundreds of millions of euros in ticketing. I mean, it is the most visited museum in the world, so this generates a lot of money. There was a price hike in 2024 to 23 euros. That could increase as well, but not everyone has to pay for their ticket, if you're under the age of 26, etc. So there's also branding for things like the Louvre's Abu Dhabi branch, which opened in 2017, merchandising, sponsorships, endowments, and a state subsidy, which is estimated to be about 93 million euros. This has been dropping over the years. So currently the budget is balanced, but is it sustainable? Now, recently staff has been sounding the alarm about this, staging strikes, for instance, over a lack of personnel and security.
Let's talk about security, because this, of course, has been in the spotlight in the aftermath of that heist.
That's right. And to say people were shocked following the brazen heist of some of France's most priceless crown jewels is an understatement.
C'est choquant de savoir qu'on peut braquer le Louvre. Vraiment, je pensais pas que c'était possible.
C'est quand même assez rocambolesque de se dire qu'il y avait les bijoux de la couronne de France et que c'est possible de venir avec une nacelle, de monter et casser une vitre et de les prendre et de repartir en plein Paris.
C'est incroyable et j'espère qu'ils vont retrouver quand même ce trésor parce que on ne peut pas laisser passer ça, c'est une humiliation nationale. Hein.
Now, as shocking as the heist was, it wasn't actually the Louvre's first and not the most high profile. That would actually be the best known theft happened in the summer of 1911 when a former museum employee named Vincenzo Perugia tucked a painting beneath his coat and walked out with it. And that painting was a lesser known portrait by Leonardo da Vinci, the Mona Lisa. Now, 2 years later, after a huge case that was covered and people followed it breathlessly, he was arrested in Italy trying to sell the painting, apparently. Now, this theft is actually credited, though, with transforming the Mona Lisa into a legend and a global icon. So it'd be interesting to see if this most recent heist does the same with those jewels.
We'll see what happens. Thank you very much for that, Florence Villemino. That's all the time we have for today's edition of the show, but be sure to check out previous episodes on our website, france24.com.